Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today is video number 25 on my Beginning Gardener series, and today we get to plant onions. Now, just a little while earlier I did video number 24 and we planted cole crops. So now we're going to do the onions on the same day. This is the first week in April and right about the time I like to plant onions. Most of the cold weather is behind us, so we're not going to cause our onions to bolt. Now I'm going to link a video up above and down in the description showing you how I planted the seeds. It gives you a little bit more information about onions. But I planted my onion seeds in January, and let me show you what they look like right now. So I planted my onion seeds in two different ways. The first way was in this shallow tray. It's got a lot of holes on the bottom. And I put a string down the middle. Maybe we'll find the string, maybe we won't. But I put a string down the middle to separate the varieties. I have Spanish yellow, Spanish white, and a red variety. And I'm going to have to refer to the video that I did before to remember which variety that is. But they all germinated really well and they've grown really nicely. I also planted a few, these are some shallots actually, some red shallots, but I also planted some in these little square pots just to see which was the better way of doing things. Now I really feel the germination in these shallow trays was a lot better and the growth was exactly the same. So I think from this point forward I'll be using the tray method. Now transplanting onion seeds that were grown in containers like this is not hard at all. There's a lot of seeds in here and a lot of plants, and all we're going to do is pull these out of the pot. Let me pull these out, get my tag out. And you can see how nicely these rooted. Now we're going to just gently tease these apart. These are the Spanish sweet yellow. Sometimes I like to just tear it into sections. Put this back in the pot. And then you just gently tease each onion apart. So that one has a lot of roots. That's going to do really well. We're going to try another one. We're going to gently tease it. You can feel it ripping, but it came out with a lot of roots and it looks really good. So we're going to tease all of these apart and then we're going to put them in the ground. Sometimes I just take the dirt off of them a little bit. But look at all this. Look at all the roots on these. So there's a close-up of what it looks like. You can see the onions starting to form already, and they're really easy to plant. Let's get some more separated out. So we were able to get 26 onions out of that little pot. So let's see what the roots look like in the shallow tray. So I found the dividing line through here. Now I'm just going to reach in, scoop out a bunch of them. We'll see what the roots look like. So they look exactly the same. These were just as good as were grown in the pot, so I think I'm going to grow them in the trays from now on. Let's separate all of these and see how many we get. Look how easy it is to separate these. It's not a big deal at all. Even these small ones can be transplanted and will grow well. So I was able to get 37 plants out of this tray. Let me show you the area that 37 plants fit in. So that is the area that I took them out of. These are the Spanish sweet white. I think there's a dividing area right here between the white and the red. So these are all red. Obviously, it's easier to tell the red from the white. Okay, there we go. So let's get the yellow planted. I'm going to divide this bed almost in half. Now I don't eat a lot of red onions, even though I'm going to have a lot of red onion transplants. I'll just share some with friends. But I'm going to do probably the last quarter will be red onions, and then the rest of it will divide in half and do yellow and white. So let me show you how to plant them. Now we're going to move the hay off so that I can plant these easier. These are smaller plants than the cole crops. The cole crops, I just moved the hay aside. Now this bed was fertilized with compost and with blood meal about a week ago. Now onions do need nitrogen when they're young, but they don't need a lot of nitrogen when they get older. So I fertilized this bed a little while ago, and then I will side dress them with nitrogen in probably another month, and then probably one more time after that. But then once they start bulbing up, I'm not going to fertilize them anymore. So you just dig a small hole, you let the roots go in there nicely, so they're not all bunched up. and then you just bury it to the top of the bulb. You don't bury them very deep. So the roots are tucked in there, and that one's ready to go. Now, as for spacing of onions, I like to space them between 4 and 6 inches apart. The further apart you get them, the larger the bulbs will get. But you don't want to take them too far apart because you're just wasting space in your garden bed. So we're going to plant that one. So that's about 4 inches apart. Let's put one on this end here. So we were only able to get 32 of the Spanish sweet white. So maybe I'll plant a little more of the red because we got a lot of the red. Now the red did really well. I got 50 red ones just out of the tray. I don't think I have room for all 50, but I'll put as many in as I can fit. Well, it's late in the day and I was finally able to get everything planted. So let me show you what the onions look like. Now I did get 50 red onions out of the tray, and I'm saving the rest of those for a friend or somebody because I didn't have enough room. We had 39 white onions, and we had a little bit over 50 of the yellow onions. I watered these all in, and I'm going to leave the hay off of them for a while. I'm just going to let them get established before I put the hay over the top so we don't smother them. Now it's going to get cold. It's going to get in the 20s. You know, probably a day after tomorrow, it's supposed to be in the 20s for a couple of days, and then it's going to pop up into the upper 30s. And the onions are extremely hardy, and they'll be able to tolerate that, so I'm not going to worry about covering them. Now we have more rain in the forecast, so I won't worry about watering them anymore until they start getting dry. Now, if we didn't have rain in the forecast, I would be watering these probably once a week, maybe twice a week. And then once it gets warmer, they would start getting watered about twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, depending on how well the soil is holding the water. So I would love to hear when you plant your onions and what are your favorite kind. Like I said before, I'll link the video down in the description that talks about the types of onions that I planted and why I planted them. So hopefully this video has been helpful. If it has been helpful to you, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden.